everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week, Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. Today, Jeff will continue the truths about real estate. Truth number 2, the brokerage versus client battle. We will learn from Jeff why you should focus your time on your client battle if you want to double your ROI. Now let's hear from Jeff Glover.
Hey guys, Jeff Glover here with Glover U and real estate truth number 2. Excited to bring this one to you today because it is somewhat of a controversial topic. Although most of these are somewhat controversial, this one's a big one, especially right now and really in the last 18 months. We've been hearing a lot of talk about what companies are taking agents from other companies and why someone should join this company over the other company. And the truth is, it's been a very big distraction to agents in the industry, because one thing that you don't hear talked a lot about too much is, what about adding value to the client? Where are the clients in this whole thing? And the reality is, there's been way too much focus on come over here, we'll show you how to do this, we'll show you how to build downline, we'll show you how to have revenue share, we'll show you how to have profit share. There's been way too much focus on that and not enough focus on actually adding value to the client. Think about it. How often are you having, those of you in the business, are you having real estate companies reach out to you, sharing with you plans on how they can help you add to your database, how they can help you add value to your current clients, how they can help you get more referrals from your past clients? Not talked about often. In fact, what's being talked about right now is who's the best, where can I get the better deal, where can I recruit agents and bring agents with me and make money off of them. Everything's about making money off of other people. And the reality is the clients are getting lost in this whole thing. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is, of course, share with you kind of my thoughts on, okay, you're a real estate agent, you're a business person, whatever you call yourself, where should I be spending my time? And there's a lot of hype around, well, if you just build a team or if you just recruit agents, then you're going to be more profitable and you're going to be better off. And the reality is that most of you didn't get into this business to recruit agents. Most of you didn't get into this business to train agents. Now, we know that some of you are passionate about recruiting and passionate about training. And what I would say to those agents is, if you're passionate about recruiting and you're passionate about managing and you're passionate about training, well, then yeah, maybe that sort of model is good for you, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be most profitable. I think a lot of agents make the mistake in thinking, well, if I'm going to be in this business, I gotta do my own thing. I gotta have my own business. And the reality is that you don't own anything. The only thing agents and brokerages own in this business is a database, right? So this whole idea of, well, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm a small business owner because I have a team or I'm building a team or I have to, the reality is you don't own anything. Right? You stop selling real estate tomorrow or you go away, the business goes away. The only thing you own is an actual database. So instead of putting so much focus on recruiting and who you can bring with you and how much profit you can make off of agents, the value and the time that you spend needs to be on how you can add value to the database, which will lead to residual income later through the database and through real estate sales. So when you think about it, when you were getting your real estate license, all right, you weren't in class thinking, man, I can't wait to get out of this business and start spending all my time recruiting, or I can't wait to be at a different brokerage every 2 years to see who can give me a better split or who can give me a better deal. You didn't have those thoughts. That wasn't something that was part of why you got into this business. So then why all of a sudden when you get into this business is that a focus? The reality is it shouldn't be a focus, because every time you're thinking about things like that, it's holding you back from adding value to your client, which I think is one of the biggest mistakes that the real estate companies are making today. They're taking too much focus off of the actual client and the experience and the return on the database and putting it onto, all right, how can we offer a better deal? How can we convince agents? How can we teach agents to be recruiters? How can we teach them to be trainers? How can we teach them to be managers? The reality is there's not as much profit in managing a real estate team or managing a real estate company as there is in being a great salesperson. So, I did some math for everybody, right? So the basics of recruiting, right? Just looking at recruiting as a whole. Watch this, all right? The basics of recruiting. It requires prospecting. It requires lead follow-up. It requires pre-qualifying. It requires presenting, usually 2, 3, 4 times. All right. It requires closing. It requires following up after the close. So what's amazing to me is all the people in the industry that can't figure out how to sell real estate because they're not good at prospecting. They're not good at lead follow-up. They're not good at presenting. They're not good at pre-qualifying. They're not good at follow-up after the sale. But then they get promoted to management, or they decide that they're going to go into management. I didn't succeed at a high level selling, so I'm going to start a team and I'm going to own my own business. You don't own your own business. Nobody owns a business. I go away and this business crumbles. The only thing I own is my database. All right. The only thing anyone owns. It doesn't matter whether you're on a team or on your own. The only thing you own is your database, the people that know you, like you, and trust you. So watch this math for a second. Okay. So I did some numbers. I've been doing this 17 years. I spent 4 years as a manager, as a recruiter, and obviously we've built JGA. Well, why did I build JGA, Jeff Glover and Associates? Because I am actually passionate about training, managing, leading, and turning other people into great salespeople. That's why I did it. Because if you're saying, well, Jeff, you're kind of hypocritical because if it's less money, then why did you do it? Well, I said at the beginning, if you're passionate about managing and training and leading others, knowing full well that you're going to make less money, go for it. I'm in favor of that. I support that. That's what I did. All right. So here's the deal. Watch these numbers. Just talking about recruiting and getting people into your downline or your revenue share or whatever is being sold to you. Okay. I know these numbers because I've been recruiting since 2005 when I first took a management position. It takes approximately 5 agents, spending time with 5 agents to get one that will be a success. And that's if you're pretty good, right? The average, 87% of real estate agents don't make it after their first year. Okay. It's probably closer to 90 when you experience a market shift. So if 20% do make it, watch these numbers. All right. I have to spend approximately 5 hours in recruiting each one of those 5 agents. Okay. So that's 25 hours right there. All right. I have to spend 5 hours each prospecting, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, closing, following up after, and probably having 2 or 3 meetings with them. I'm spending a minimum, maybe 10 hours, but at a minimum, you're spending 5 hours with each potential recruit. All right. Well, then I get them in the door. All right. So by the way, you're going to have to meet with more than 5 to get 5 to say, you know what, this makes sense. I'm going to join you. Okay. So now 25 becomes what? 75, 100 hours just to get 5 agents. Well, I'm saying 25 hours if I get all 5 to join, all right? And everyone's so confident, if I go off and do this, I'll have a ton of people that follow me. The reality is that the only way to get people to follow you is to be a success and to have a track record and to set an example, all right? If you do those things, sure, it might be a little easier for you to get 5 out of 5. But if I need 5 agents, then I probably have to meet with 10, 15, 20 to get those 5. And that's 5 hours apiece, multiple meetings, multiple follow-ups, scheduling, rescheduling, all this, all right? So let's just say I bat 1,000, I get 5. All right, that's 25 hours right there. Now, remember, only one of these 5 is actually going to be a success, and I don't know which one it is. There's no way to predict that. I mean, if you've been around this industry for a while, people walk through the door and you're thinking, yeah, they're going to be a success, and they fail, or vice versa. This happens at every real estate company. They hired that guy. They brought that guy in. What are they thinking? And then next thing you know, that person's a success. So you need 5 to get one to be successful. And oh, by the way, in their first year in your company and probably multiple years after that, assuming that this one sticks with you, you're going to spend approximately 50 hours a year with each agent. 50 hours. Okay, think about that. It's less than 1 hour per week. There's 52 weeks a year. You're spending less than 1 hour per week with each agent. Well, yeah, but my company is going to do all this for me. The reality is that if you rely on the company to do everything for you, then you're going to even have a lower success rate. So 50 hours a year, okay, per agent. Do the math. Okay, well, plus don't forget about the 5 hours to recruit them. That's 55 hours times 5. That's 275 hours to get one successful agent per year. 275 hours. Now we're talking going back to the prospecting, the lead follow-up, the pre-qualifying, the presenting, the closing, and then spending 1 hour per week with them, whether it's one-on-one or a training class or holding their hand on a deal. And listen, I know you're all going to say you're not going to spend 1 hour a week with an agent. Trust me, it adds up. A text here and there, a phone call here and there, an email here and there, that all adds up. 1 hour a week, 50 hours a year, plus the 5 hours it took me to recruit them. 275 hours. Now watch this math. Most successful real estate teams. Now I'm saying most as a better than average, let's say, okay? Not an average. I'm going to say the ones that are better than average. The real estate teams that are better than average are bringing in about 1 million in GCI. And that's better than average. If you think about it, it's kind of like a benchmark. It's like an agent saying they want to get to $100,000 in income. Real estate teams somehow have this benchmark. We got to get to 1 million in GCI. And I know there's some of you that are probably on teams that are 2, 3, 4, 5 million in GCI, and good for you. That obviously helps this argument. But the reality is, to get to 1 million in GCI, watch this math. All right. Now, by the way, most real estate teams at the 1 million GCI level are bringing about 25% down to the bottom line. That's considered good. 25%. A lot of them are 10, 15, 20. 25% at $1 million in GCI is 250,000. 250,000. Most teams at $1 million in GCI, by the way, the average team at $1 million GCI has 10 agents, 10 producers. Some have 8, some have 12, some have 6, some have 15. On average, about 10 producers to get $1 million in GCI. That means if you're operating at a 25% profit margin, that's $25,000 to the bottom line per agent per year. Got it? We're at $1 million in GCI. We got 10 agents, 250K is the net, 25% profit margin. That means $25,000 per agent per year. Now watch this number. 25,000 bottom line. Oh, yeah, they're worth 25. They're worth 25. They're worth 25. This is great. I got a whole table full of $25,000 to the bottom line of the company. Great. Watch this math. Well, let's just say, okay, remember we need 5 to get 1. And this is operating at 10. So let's just say it's the first year. 5 to get 1 means that I need to spend 275 hours, like I've already explained. That's 50 hours per agent per year. 275 hours. Divide that number into 25,000 per agent. That means $90 an hour. I'm working for $90 an hour if my focus is on recruiting agents and building a real estate team. $90 an hour. Now you may say, well, that's more than I'm making right now. Well, perfect. But let's look at the contrary to that. You guys have been to enough stuff where I talk about the time it takes to take a listing, the time it takes to work with a buyer. 16 hours for one listing sold. 16 hours to sell one listing. Take it, sell it, close it. 16 hours. All right. Even if you're only making a commission of $3,000 or $4,000 with after expenses or after your split or whatever, let's just say $3,000. 3,000 into 16 into 3,000 is $187 an hour. Double the amount of time. Okay. So you look at $90 an hour to be a great recruiter and to grow my downline and to grow my team. $90 an hour versus $187.50 an hour by just focusing on taking listings. Do the math. It makes more sense to focus on taking listings, working with clients, adding value to clients than it is to be this big broker or be this big team. Again, the disclaimer. Well, Jeff, you have a big team, so isn't this a little hypocritical? I enjoy training, coaching, managing, knowing full well that I'm going to make less money. I enjoy that more than I do selling real estate. Now, you might say, yeah, but why do you sell real estate? Well, I sell real estate because I need to lead by example. I need to prove that I can do it and I can show you how to do it so people will follow. The mistake, and by the way, the golden rule mistake that most people break when they decide they want to get into the brokerage world, if you will, they stop selling real estate to focus on this. So not only do they lose their income, but guess what else they lose? They lose their credibility. $90 an hour, recruiting, training, managing, working with agents. $187 an hour, taking listings and getting them sold. That doesn't even take into consideration, because then you'll say, well, what about the residual? What if they bring in people? Well, what if your listing refers you to someone? Well, what if your listing 2 years from now decides they want to sell? Your dollar per hour will always be higher selling real estate than managing a team or building a team. But everyone gets caught up in this whole idea of, I got to have a team, I got to have a team, I got to have a team. No, you will make more money as a successful salesperson than you will running a team. It's proven. It's been proven time and time again. So moral of the story, never stop selling real estate. The other thing I want to point out, I'll never forget one of the calls I had early on. I was younger. I had a little bit of an ego. You guys, most of you know that my first mentor was Mike Ferry, or one of my first mentors was Mike Ferry. And we actually did a call. He kind of embarrassed me on a call. And he was asking me about, income in the real estate business, how much time I was spending. And he really called me out in this. And he said, okay, Jeff, he asked me some questions about how much I was making on the team, the real estate, company, if you will. And the number was maybe around 150,000. Okay. That was net bottom line. All right. And then he'd say, okay, well, what are you making on your sales business? And that number was more like 400,000, 500,000, somewhere in that number there. And he then asked me, how much time do you spend managing versus selling real estate? I said, well, it's about 50% of my time is spent managing, 50% of my time is spent selling. So he said, okay, so you spend 50% of your time to earn 150,000 and 50% of your time to earn 450,000. He said, so if you could just manage your time better and not spend time managing, recruiting, training, and doing all that, you could be at 800,000 just like that. Well, the reality is I didn't realize that the value of my time on selling was higher than it was actually recruiting, training, and managing. So I went back and wrote out a schedule that allowed me to focus mostly on selling real estate and leading by example. And then the rest of my time was spent either recruiting, training, or managing. The reality is that most people don't have 70 or 80 hours a week to work, because those years I was working 70 to 80 hours a week doing both. Because most people don't have 70 to 80 hours per week to work, they end up taking a major step back in their sales business, which then they look up and say, well, I'm not making any money managing people. And now you don't have a strong sales business. You're not making any money managing people because the turnover is so high. And then you're back to square one. It's why we see time and time again, so many agents go out and build these big teams. And next thing you know, they're back in production. Yeah, I got rid of the team. I just decided I'm going to sell real estate. This is better. This is a better fit for me. No, the reality is you went broke. And you had to get back into the business of selling real estate because you went broke. And that's okay. Sometimes we have to learn the lesson the hard way. So next time you think about, well, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I go to this company because they have rev share, or this company? I mean, I'm picking on my own company a little bit even. Obviously, we have profit share. Most of you guys know I'm affiliated with KW. Am I spending a ton of time building my downline? No, I'm spending time selling real estate, because at the end of the day, that's the highest and best use of my time always. The turnover in real estate happens so fast that the ROI on your time, $90 an hour versus $187.50. I did the math. I broke it down per agent, $90 an hour versus $187.50. So go take more listings. All right, a couple other things I wrote down. Okay, most brokerages today are not set up. They're not designed to put us in a position to add value to our clients. All right, so what I'm suggesting is that after this session, you go back and think about, write down all the things that you can do to add value to your database, because chances are the brokerage that you're with is not helping you with that. So you have to do that on your own, which is okay, but stop getting distracted with all this hype about what's going on with this brokerage and that brokerage and this. No, focus on selling real estate and you'll be fine. Your dollar per hour is always going to be higher, okay? There's no better brokerage. It depends on who you're in business with that matters, right? Who do you determine wealth for? Who determines wealth for you? Choose your wealth determiners wisely. If you determine, everyone adds wealth to someone. All right. You could argue that being a Keller Williams agent, I add wealth to Gary Keller. All right. If you're a Coldwell Banker agent, you add wealth to those stockholders, right? If you're an EXP agent, you add wealth to those stockholders. Everyone adds wealth. So pick your wealth determiner, the person that you're determining wealth for wisely. Make sure it's someone that's willing to pour into you, because a wise wealth determiner is willing to do that. All right. A wise wealth determiner is willing to give you everything that you need to succeed at a high level, because they know you're going to determine wealth for them. Think about who you determine wealth for and choose your wealth determiner wisely. Also, choose the people that determine wealth for you wisely, right? All right. So I want to finish with, how do we add value to our clients, to our database? All right. Many of you have heard this story by now, and I won't spend too much time on it since you've heard it. Sphere of influence and past client business was lower on the totem pole, if you will, in terms of our focus and where we got a lot of business from. 4 years ago, 4 years ago, we made a decision that we were going to focus on sphere of influence and past client business. It's the best ROI. There's no other source of business that gives you a better ROI than past clients and sphere of influence business. So we came up with a formula. We call it the 4x2x1x12 formula, and we're actually revising it as part of our 2020 plan. All right, so I'll give you the basic of it now, and then we're going to dig deeper into it at a later date. Okay, so 4 by 2 by 1 by 12. So if you're in the business, you're following around, just write on a piece of paper the number 4, put a dash next to it, the number 2, put a dash next to it, the number 1, put a dash next to it, and the number 12, and put a dash next to it. All right, the 4 by 2 by 1 by 12 formula. We implemented this 3-4 years ago when our sphere of influence business was our number 5 or number 6 source of business. Today, it's number 1. We implemented this plan, and today it's now our number 1 source of business. So I'm going to give you the basics of it. We're going to dig into it at a later date. So right next to the number 4. By the way, this isn't rocket science, right? This is nothing special. It's not like there's any secrets in this. It's just the way we did it. And we've been doing it consistently now for 3 years. And wouldn't you know it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, our sphere of influence past client business was less than 100 transactions. 10% of our business, right? We were doing 900, 1,000 deals. Less than 100 deals was coming from sphere of influence past clients. Today, 380 will come from past clients' sphere of influence, or 38%, 40% of our business will come from this formula that we implemented 3-4 years ago. So next to the number 4, I want you to write down 4 pieces of mail. 4 pieces of mail, physical mail, something that you send out. All right. We don't have enough time on this particular session to get into the details of it, but I'll tell you when we're covering it. All right. 4 pieces of physical mail, 1 per quarter. The second thing, the number next to the number 2, I want you to write 2 phone calls where you don't ask for business. 2 phone calls where you don't ask for business. All right, so 4 pieces of mail, 2 phone calls. You're not asking for business. You're adding value. Well, how do I add value? We're going to cover that. Next to the number 1, I want you to put 1 client event. 1 client event. And I'll give you a little secret on that. We're going to be increasing that number in our 2020 business plan. 1 client event. Next to the number 12, I want you to write 12 custom emails, 12 custom emails, and that will be 1 per month. And I want you to think of infotainment, information that's entertaining. I don't want it to be the silly, hey, turn your clocks back, or here's the latest pumpkin pie recipes. I want you to be custom with that. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be something that your clients look forward to when they open it. I want it to be something that they're waiting for it to show up, and you have to customize it. Now, I'm not saying you have to customize it to every single one, but you have to customize each one. All right, so 4 pieces of mail, 2 phone calls where you don't ask for business, 1 client event, and 12 informational, entertaining emails, 1 per month. We're going to dig deep. For those of you that haven't heard yet, our summit this year in Orlando, Florida, January 6th, 7th, and 8th, the entire 3 days is going to be spent around how to build a database, add value to it, and have the best ROI from the database. All right. I wasn't an expert at this 3-4 years ago. I'm still probably not an expert. We're going to have a lot of people that join us on panels, and I'm going to do one-on-one interviews with them. But one thing I'm going to dive deep into is how we went from 100 transactions from our database 3 years ago to nearly 400 today. Because we didn't put a lot of effort in 3 years ago. We do now. 400 transactions today, less than 100 3 years ago. So I'm going to cover the formula in detail and go through each one of them. What is sent out, when it's sent out, what we say, how we add value, so forth. Again, I'm not the expert. We're also going to have panelists and one-on-one interviews and other people that know this stuff better than I. So that's going to be January 6th, 7th, and 8th in Orlando, Florida. If you want to check that out, go to liveunrealsummit.com. I know a lot of you have already signed up. We're expecting 1,000 agents at that, by the way. So if you go to liveunrealsummit.com, you'll see all the details on that. Other than that, I hope this added some value to your day. Stop worrying about what other brokerages are doing and focus on adding value to your clients. You're going to be much better off. Make it a great week, everyone. See ya.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the Real Estate Self-Assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify, and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, stop worrying about what other brokers are doing and focus on adding value to your clients.